This is Chemistry 2, Lightning Round Part 1. For the first question, it says, even if it's present at the beginning of a reaction, its concentration increases as the reaction proceeds. So when we look at our answer choices, we see reactant, and we know that a reactant is present at the beginning. Intermediate is not present. Catalyst, a catalyst can be present, but it stays the same, like its concentration is not going to increase. And then a product is present at the beginning of a reaction, and its concentration increases as the reaction proceeds. So the correct answer would be option D. For question 2, it says, which equation indicates the presence of a catalyst in the reaction? So when we look at our options, we see option A has A plus B producing D plus B. So when we look at this, we see that B is on the reactant side and it's also on the product side, which could indicate the presence of a catalyst. For option B, we see that there's A plus B on the reactant side and C plus D on the product side, and there's no common symbol on the reactant and the product side. So we can rule B out. For C, same thing. There's no common symbol on both sides. And same for D. So the correct answer would be option A. For question 3, it says a strong electrolyte is one that blanks completely in a solution. So you basically just have to know what a strong electrolyte is, and strong electrolytes do ionize completely in a solution, so the correct answer would be option C. For question 4, it says the molar concentration of hydronium ion in pure water at 25 degrees Celsius is what? So to work this out, we start with the kW of water, which is 1.0 times 10 to the negative 14th, equaling the concentration of H plus and the concentration of OH minus. And then we can basically just take the 10 raised to the negative 14th equaling H plus squared, and then we take the square root of it, and we get that the concentration is going to be 1.0 times 10 to the negative 7th. So the correct answer is going to be D. For question 5, it says an acidic solution blank. So we look at our answer choices, and we can definitely rule out A and D. And then we look at B and C as our only two options. OH is usually means the base, and H3O plus is the acid. So in an acidic solution, the H3O plus is going to be greater than the OH minus, which is the base. So the correct answer is going to be B. For question 6, it says, what is the pOH of a 0.0150 mole solution of barium hydroxide? So to solve this, we're going to see that the pOH equals the negative log of OH minus, and then the pOH equals the negative log of 0.015 times 2, which is going to end up equaling 1.52. And barium hydroxide is BaOH2, and the whole reaction, just so you can see where this 2 comes in, is BaOH2 goes to 1Ba plus 2OH minus. And so we see that there's a 2 there. So it's going to be 2 times 0.0150. And that's where the 2 comes in from. So our correct answer is going to be D. For 7, it says a substance that is capable of acting as both an acid and as a base is what? So when we look at our answer choices, we can eliminate autosomal because that has nothing to do with this. Conjugated has nothing to do with a substance capable of acting as an acid and a base. And we can get rid of autocratic, and that just leaves amphoteric as the correct answer. And this is something that you just have to know the definition of to answer this question. Like, it's a fact-based question. So if you don't know the definition of amphoteric, it's probably going to be harder to answer, but you can always use process of elimination. For question 8, it says, of the following, blank is a weak acid. So again, this is something you have to know, and there are 7 main strong acids to know, and you kind of just have to memorize them. And so when you look at these answer choices, the one that is not a strong acid and is a weak acid is option D. For 9, it says, what are the signs of delta H and delta S for a reaction that is spontaneous at all temperatures? So this is something you also have to know, and there's usually a chart to follow for Gibbs free energy. But when we go through these answer choices for A, since let me just write in these deltas. For A, since the delta H is negative and the delta S is positive, that's going to be spontaneous at all temperatures. For B, since the delta H is negative and the delta S is also negative, it's going to be spontaneous at low temps and non-spontaneous at at high temperatures. And then for C, the delta H is positive and the delta S is negative, so that's going to be non-spontaneous at all temps. And then for the last answer choice, the delta H is positive and the delta S is also positive, so that's going to be spontaneous at high temperatures and non-spontaneous at low temperatures. So going back to our question, it says, what are the signs of delta H and delta S for a reaction that is spontaneous at all temperatures? So from looking at this, we can see that option choice A is going to be the correct answer. For 10, it says, in a voltage cell, ions flow from the blank to the blank. Well, this is also kind of an information-based question that you just have to know. So a salt bridge is something that maintains the electrical neutrality. And then ions usually flow from the salt bridge to both the anode and the cathode. So we can rule out C and B and D because it goes to both, not just the cathode. So A is the one that is correct. For 11, it says the gain of electrons by an element is called what? So there's an easy way to remember this, and I like to use it, is oil rig. An oil rig stands for the oil part, it's oxidation is losing, and then for the rig part, it's reduction is gaining. And what is meant by gaining and losing is they're gaining and losing electrons. So when we go back to the question, the gain of electrons by an element is called reduction. So B is the correct answer. For 12, it says, for which substance is the oxidation number of vanadium the same as that in the VO3 minus ion? So we can look at this first option, VF5, and we see that fluorine has a -1 oxidation number, and there's 5 of them, and the whole thing has to equal 0. So we can do x minus 5 equals 0, and that gives us x equals 5. And then we should have done this first, but the oxidation number of vanadium in VO3 minus would be 3 times -2, and it would have to equal -1. So x minus 6 equals -1, x equals 5. So we did option A, and that matches perfectly with what the question asks. So we don't even have to go any further because the correct answer is A. For 13, it says, what is the atomic number of an electron? So an electron can be written like that, and it has a mass number of 0, but the atomic number is going to be -1, and this is something that you should know. So the correct answer is going to be A. For 14, what is the atomic number of a beta particle? Well, the beta particle has like that beta symbol, and the mass number is going to be 0, and the atomic number is going to be the same as the electron, and it's going to be -1. So the correct answer is going to be C. And then for question 15, it asks, what kinetic order process is radioactive decay? So this is also something you should know, and the correct answer for this is going to be a first order reaction.